A lot of popular topics this week. I'm going to read you this email. This will cover a lot of different questions that have been sent in over the last couple of days. This was sent in to CornyDriveThru@gmail.com from Painmaker Chris Jericho, although I'm doubting this is really him. Jim, I want to know your thoughts on the WWE putting together a fairly decent show for Smackdown with the travel issues from Saudi Arabia. I thought the NXT talent did well. I loved the Bryan versus Cole match. But what did you think? And what rating did you give it out of 10? And of course, Jim, I do want to mention, someone asked me on Twitter the other night, is Jim watching SmackDown? And I assumed, no, don't expect a review of this. Jim's not watching. But from what I understand, you did see at least some of it.
Well, I watched it because once I heard about all those issues and the travel problems, I said, holy shit, what are they going to do? It's curiosity. I'm sure I haven't heard a rating, but I'm sure that it probably affected the number in some kind of way just from people hearing the news and going, oh shit, let's see what they're going to do. So yes, I watched it, and fairly decent doesn't even begin to describe it. I thought it was fucking great. It's exactly what they needed to do. And of course it took a crisis to get it there. And I don't know if they would have done this if they actually had sat out and planned it. And so it could have obviously been done. It could have been done better in NXT Invasion just because there could have been some SmackDown people there to invade, right? I mean, if they were going to do it on purpose, but to take advantage of this situation, it was perfect. Because in actuality, a lot of the SmackDown guys weren't there, and they can blame the travel problems and say, if we'd have had our full crew, but they got fucking smoked by the NXT guys, and that's how you make stars. You have them, I think we've been saying that here on the program for about the last 2 months. You make stars by having them beat people that the fans already view as stars. It did not hurt Daniel Bryan's standing in the community one iota to do a job on national TV for Adam Cole. Not at this point in his career. I think you will agree with me in this. He has all the ability in the world and all the talent in the world, and we've always praised him. But right now, he's as over as he's ever going to get. Is he not?
Adam Cole?
No, Daniel Bryan.
He's as over as he's ever.
He's as over. I mean, you can't just hurt him by beating him once on television. That's not going to destroy it. Yeah, and it's not like he's going to suddenly make a run and become Steve Austin level either from this point in his career forward. He's over, and he's established, and he's as over as he's going to get. He's not suddenly going to get hot and run the company on his back over the next 5 years, but Adam Cole might. See, that's the thing. It's not, you're not putting these guys out to pasture and putting a bullet in a fucking horse's head by beating a star with a new guy when it's done like that, when it's competitive, when both guys are that talented, and when it's also when you've reached Daniel Bryan's level, it's not going to hurt you. It wasn't going to hurt him to do that job, but it would have hurt Adam Cole if he'd have beat him at that point in time, would it not?
It would have hurt him significantly, I think.
Yes. So they could have done this any time, whether the crew was stuck in Saudi Arabia or not, but at least they pulled the trigger on it because we're going to figure out how to do this national television show. And the same thing with all the NXT talent that was exposed there. All of a sudden, they've gone from a WWE network show to Fox network television in fucking less than 3 months. And that's what I'm talking about in this wrestling war. That's one of the tools that Vince McMahon has. Not only does he have a massive roster and he's got guys ready to go if guys go down on a show and et cetera, and sure, they could do a better job creatively, but the infrastructure at this point of the WWE is so hard to beat. And also, Triple H was there. He was. Somebody had said something to the effect of, Vince signed off on it, but somebody had said something to the effect of, well, Bruce Pritchard's running the show now. No, fucking Triple H is there and he loves NXT and that's his show and he's taking this opportunity to get these guys over.
And by the way, I think Vince was there actually.
Well, but by the time he got back from Saudi Arabia, at least Triple H had some time to fucking think about what the fuck to do, right? So, anyway, I'm just saying all the stars aligned for the NXT guys to go out, and all of it was good. And Heyman's promo, because that's at the start reminded me of the old days, like that famous Knoxville TV show from 72 that's still around, with Ron Wright arguing with the referee and the announcer, and Lawler and Jim White wrestling Tommy Gilbert for the rest of the hour. There was a snowstorm and guys didn't show up. It used to happen on studio wrestling shows sometimes. And in Memphis, especially because it was live, you'd have guys go out and talk until so-and-so gets his boots tied. We'll send so-and-so out. When you see him, shut up. And that was your instruction. And Heyman's a perfect guy for that. He killed 20 minutes with some tape and Brock standing there. And I understand that was because the plane to get some of the people there literally landed, and they had a police escort, but landed like 5 minutes before airtime. So they probably told Heyman, you might have to go for 30 minutes. And I bet they gave him the Iggy when he could get out of it. But, that was a great promo by Heyman, and then all the NXT talent was exposed in the right light. I thought it was a beautiful show. And once again, a guy like Daniel Bryan is a pro and knows what's expected of him, and wanted to get the new guy over deep down in his heart, which is especially why the match was so good.
I didn't get to see the whole show because me and Suzanne were catching up that night on Billions, but I tuned in towards, I guess, in the middle of the second hour. And the only thing I didn't like was, after all these weeks of us reviewing NXT, at the end of the night, Paul Levesque in the ring doing his promo about his team and his army. And there we see the women who are about to do battle against each other in war games just standing next to each other. Guys who hate each other on the other show just standing there with each other. That was the only thing I didn't like, was just the whole idea that we just saw all these women, let's use them as the example, brawl with each other. This giant brawl on NXT leading to the war games, and now they just all standing next to each other, no problem.
And actually, to be honest with you, because the fucking DVR cut off right at whatever time, that's the thing that I basically missed. I saw the finish of the main event, and that's pretty much it for the show. So I may not have even noticed because I don't know these people well enough. But anyway, and I will say this, the people with Adam Cole's entrance, the people in the building were with the Boom, right? So they knew him. But I will say this, that to be honest, probably an extra 1.5 people saw those guys and girls from NXT in the ring there that had not seen them before on television because of the difference in the viewing fucking audiences. And a lot of people can't watch every goddamn wrestling program on the air. So I guess on the spur of the moment, they decided, well, we'll have our interleague, our inside the league rivalries, but when it's outside, NXT, we're going to be all for one or whatever the fuck. And that's the way they're going to frame it. But it was getting those people in front of a whole new audience, and they did it well.
Was there anything else on the show that stood out to you? I saw the Keith Lee and Matt Riddle chasing Sami Zayn. I know there's a beatdown backstage with Bianca Belair. Anything else stand out to you?
Yeah, it was a little silly but Generico did a good fucking job of being a Weasley heel. And they chased him and beat him up, and that was a little silly. But I'm trying to think, God damn it, what were the other matches? Obviously Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson stood out to me because that was the best. That was actually the best wrestling match that I've seen on television from NXT, AEW, or anybody else in the last month or so. I just loved that match start to finish. That was two pros that know what the fuck they're doing. It was the porridge. It wasn't too hot. It wasn't too cold. It was just right.
And another thing, it's one of those matches that when I saw on the screen the image of the two of them, I was like, oh, this interests me. This is an interesting match I'd like to watch. So and Rhea Ripley got over real strong earlier in the night. That was the thing at the end. Rhea Ripley standing there, Bianca Belair's a couple feet away, and it's like I just saw these girls and everyone else brawl. Shayna Baszler just standing there. So that's the only thing that bothered me. But I guess we should also just say a lot of questions have come in about the situation with Saudi Arabia, but we're going to hold off until some more information is public to talk about that, correct? Yeah, well, we're going to hold off until we actually know what the fuck we're talking about. Imagine that. And somebody put that out on Twitter, #Twitter.
Twitter, hashtag Cornette didn't mention anything till he knows what he's talking about. We have our web of informants around the world. Mason Krieger is probably flying over now in an Air Force plane, flying over Saudi Arabia, trying to gather information via satellite and high-powered telephoto lens. But yeah, we're seeing how all this develops, but it does not make sense, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of it does not make sense. And obviously we know that there are more than mechanical troubles that led to a lot of people just going to a hotel and being ensconced there for a full day, especially if you're the guest of the ruler of the country and you want to go home. You think that motherfucker can find you a plane?
Like I said, more information to come this week on The Experience, more than likely. But we'll see what happens with some of this, and our sources are certainly saying a lot of things, so we'll see.
A lot of people saying it.